Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar, Turning Frontline Staff into Advisors. Working with LemonadeLXP, Texas-based PlainsCapital Bank has created a culture of learning, arming its frontline staff with the knowledge to have meaningful conversations with customers about the bank's products and services. We'll learn more about their experience over the next hour. We thank you for joining us. I'm Emily McCormick, the Vice President of Research at Bank Director, where I coordinate and execute research projects, including our annual surveys and ranking banking study. I also write for Bank Director Magazine and bankdirector.com. Today's webinar is brought to you by both Bank Director and LemonadeLXP. Bank Director focuses on the strategic issues most fundamental to bank executives and boards through our magazine and web content, virtual and in-person events, and training programs. LemonadeLXP's engaging micro-learning platform allows for the rapid deployment of technology walkthroughs, supporting frontline staff and helping customers migrate to digital channels. Before we get started, I have just a few more things to share. First off, you've joined this webinar in listen-only mode, so don't worry, we cannot hear you. We also recommend that you click on the slide bar at the bottom of the screen to put the presentation into full screen mode. If you have any questions for our speakers, just note them by clicking the Q&A button found on the right side of your screen. Once our presenters have finished with their talking points, we'll have a Q&A period where those questions will be addressed, but we really encourage you to ask them at any time during the presentation. There's no need to take detailed notes, as the presentation will be shared with all attendees within 24 hours via email. It will also be available on bankdirector.com and lemonadelxp.com. If you have any technical issues, you can note those using the moderator chat feature on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll do our best to take care of those issues. Regarding our polls, those will appear in the sidebar near the Q&A button. When you've selected your answer, just hit the vote button to submit your response. Finally, the opinions expressed in this webinar are those of the individual speaker only and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the other speakers or of the entities with which the speakers are associated. On that note, let me share just a little bit about our speakers today. AJ Pratt is a co-founder as well as the Vice President of Business Services at LemonadeLXP, which launched in 2018. AJ has more than 2 decades of experience in game-based digital technology. Jennifer Williams is the Banking Services Training Manager at PlainsCapital Bank, leading the strategy and direction of training and development for the bank, where she's worked for more than 18 years. Her department oversees the technical and functional training of all branch, retail, and lending employees. So with that, Jennifer and AJ, I'm going to put myself on mute, and it's in your hands.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Emily. So I'll pass it over to Jennifer, maybe to take us through a little bit about how we got together and where this all started.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you for that intro. And I just wanted to give a quick thank you to everyone for taking some time out today and being here. So a few years ago, our bank, PlainsCapital, implemented a client relationship program. And one of our main goals was to discover, how do we deepen and enhance our relationships with our clients? You know, we wanted our frontline bankers to have the confidence to speak with our clients about our products and services, as well as being able to identify some of our clients' potential needs. You know, of course, to become skilled and confident at something, you need practice. And you don't just practice it one time, you know, you practice it over and over so your knowledge retention stays high. So we needed to find a solution that would repeatedly engage our frontline bankers, keep that knowledge retention high, and through this, they could become advisors to our clients. All right, AJ, next slide, please.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, a little slow on the clicking, but it looks like we're right into a poll. So what is the current greatest threat to your bank's growth potential? Competition from other banks, too slow to support new digital initiatives, upskilling staff to keep them in the fast changing business landscape, and recruiting, onboarding, and retaining talent. So I will monitor how this all comes in. You know what, Jennifer, I realized in doing this, we probably should have placed a little friendly wager on which one of these polls would win. There's 3 today. So looking forward to seeing how they all sort of come out. See who's in the lead at front. Right now, upskilling in first, too slow to support digital in second, and recruiting, onboarding, and talent in third. Okay. Never know how many people have voted, but next time, Jen, we're going to need to figure out what we would have voted or what we think people will predict based on this. But right now, upskilling staff at 57%.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, that's great. It seems to be the overall winner, almost 2-to-1 to everything else. So that's great. Let's move on to the next one. Jen, I'll let you continue.
Okay. So as we started exploring, how to turn our bankers into advisors, we looked at our current business situation and our current training situation. We have a small training team. Most of our trainers were leading or are leading new hire classes. So we didn't have the additional staff for the type of repeated training that we wanted to implement. We have an LMS system, like I'm sure all of y'all do that are listening on this call. And LMS programs are good for compliance training, but it's really not a fit for training that's engaging. Our employees want to be engaged. They don't want to read text on a slide, click the next button, read more text, click next, all the way till they get to a test. That's the least engaging type of training there is. Our current training methods up until Lemonade were in-person new hire training. We had in-person refresher training, and we would offer that quarterly or semi-annually. And then, of course, webinars. We'll still do these types of trainings, but we knew we needed something more. We needed training that we could get out to the branches more frequently, and again, training that would engage our learners.
And that brings us to poll number 2. Sorry, Jen, did I cut you off at all?
Oh, no, sir, you're good.
All right. So what's your biggest challenge in leveling up your people? Employee engagement, uninspiring learning experience, lack of HR bandwidth, attrition. Now, I do have one here that I hear more than others, but I'm not going to comment until numbers come in. See how this goes. What would you have said here, Jen, if you were to predict for you?
I would think employee engagement. But again, that's me with my training background. I know how big that engagement is.
Well, your words of wisdom, and that was my vote as well. I don't think I joined too many calls that's not in the top 2, top 3 problems, and that seems to be right now the winner. Uninspiring learning experience following in a decent second. Attrition, not a big problem, and lack of HR bandwidth is holding its own. But it looks like employee engagement is going to pretty much come in at around 50%. So thank you, everybody, for taking the time to vote. Much appreciated. So I'll pass it back to you, Jen.
All right. So again, while we were looking, at our current business situation, we identified some challenges that we knew that, when we were trying to find a solution, we needed to answer these challenges. So number one, people don't respond well to lengthy training sessions. They lose engagement. Just that on our last poll, that was the top answer, especially if the long training is over a webinar. You can only keep someone on a webinar so long before they completely check out. There's also information overload on lengthy webinars or even in-person training sessions. If there's any fellow trainers on the call, I know y'all are going to know what I mean, but you can see the eyes of the trainees just glaze over because their brain is full. It's just information overload. And you know that whatever you say going forward will not be retained because it's too much. Of course, there are distractions. You see people eyeing their email or eyeing their text because they have coworkers or customers and to get, in touch with them. They've been away from the office too long. Also, having people continually leave the branch for training was not efficient, even more so since last March when everything, when there was a lockdown nationwide. When people leave the branch, that leaves the branch short-staffed. And now everyone at the branch is pulling extra weight. Travel costs, that was a big challenge. When we had our in-person training classes, there was travel costs either for the trainee or the trainer because we would have to travel to our training centers. And then a big challenge for any learning and development department is tracking. We didn't know what the learners retained or didn't retain. We would give our learners all this information, but we didn't know what was truly absorbed or where our knowledge gaps were as an organization. So we knew we needed to find a new way to train that was fun, engaging, and could be done more frequently than what we had the manpower for. So when we started looking for a partner to help us with our challenges, these were our priorities. We wanted to partner with a company that would foster a sense of personal development with our learners. We needed a partner that would appeal to our tech-savvy staff. We wanted our training to appeal to the learners. You want your learners to want to learn and not sigh and say, oh, God, they're training. We wanted a consistent onboarding experience so all employees were receiving the same information and then be able to maintain that consistency year over year to keep our team skills sharp. We wanted to focus also on knowledge retention and that our employees were truly learning the information instead of them just taking the training and checking a box to say that training was done, really not learning or retaining anything. And then finally, we knew we wanted a micro-learning format or short bursts of training. Everyone's, and I say everyone loosely, our attention spans have shortened. Twitter, you only get a certain number of characters. TikTok, it's short videos. The stories on Instagram and Facebook, they're short videos. So everyone's attention span is a little shorter than it used to be. So we wanted short bursts of training, people engaged, and then training's done while they still were engaged in that. We didn't want any more information overload or to take the employees off the floor for long periods of time and interrupt our service to our clients. Right. All right, next slide, please, AJ.
Oh, I hope I did. Hope I'm not having an internet problem.
Oh, I see it now. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Yes. Okay. So why Lemonade? Why did we choose Lemonade with? Lemonade truly is helping us upskill our bankers in a fun and engaging way. It's unlike any other training we've ever done at the bank. Lemonade was built specifically for banks, so they know the industry. It's much easier to work with a partner when they know the industry as well. It really is an engaging learning experience. Because the program is game-based, the learners have incentive to play and level up. The games are also meant to be played repeatedly, so the learners are exposed to the information over and over, and that keeps their knowledge retention high. Within the game, for the admins, there are rapid authoring tools, so we can get content up and out quickly to the learners in their hands faster than we ever have before. And this program is ideal for us because we have branches all over Texas, but we don't have training centers all over Texas. So we can now distribute periodic training to everyone without taking the employees out of the branch or incurring additional travel costs. A big bonus in Lemonade, aside from it just being a fun way to learn, is that we as a training team get insights as to where our learners' knowledge really is at. As an admin of the program, we can see the game analytics, so we know exactly where our knowledge gaps are. And that way we can develop targeted training, where it's needed the most. And those analytics, those have been a game changer for us. We can see the base score of a game. And then after it's played repeatedly, we can see the knowledge growth. You can see that per learner, per game. You can even go down per question within a game and really drill down and see where everyone's knowledge is at.
Thanks very much, Jen. Much appreciated. What I thought I'd do is give you a little bit of an understanding of, other than the things and, if it's repetitive, of why LemonadeLXP works so well. When we designed it, we took a learner-focused approach. We polled frontline people in financial institutions, asked them what they liked about the training. Go figure, they kind of said, and quote unquote, we hate our training. Now, they didn't hate the training teams, and they actually didn't even hate the content. What they hated was the tech. It was rigid, it was static. A lot of times, as Jen said, it was long, and the users were engaged. If you look at where training came from, it used to be like these long 5-day courses or even day-long courses. And it is kind of like drinking from a fire hose. You get so much information in a short burst, or a long burst in some cases, that you can't retain it. I know some of you probably understand and have seen the results on microlearning, and certainly how Jen's going to talk about her results a little bit later, but how people can retain because it's 5 minutes a day. And we built it to fit into the workflow of a bank employee. So they can be taking training when they've got a couple minutes of downtime. And then as soon as a customer is standing in front of them, they leave it right there and they help that customer and then go back. Then it was about transforming the content. And we transformed it using game-based learning. So in our game-based learning rounds, we have some rounds that are designed to teach the foundational information, that who, where, what, when, and why, so that you understand. Then we move over to the touchy-feely ones, like the technology walkthroughs and demos and simulators. So if there's anything that people can touch and feel, obviously a lot of people learn better that way. And then we kind of tie it all together with role play scenarios. So this is where you take all the information you learned in the previous rounds and you practice it in a virtual world. And again, with the end result that when a customer is then standing in front of you, talking about your digital products, that you have the confidence to ask the right questions, say the right things, and navigate that conversation. And therefore will be comfortable to bring up your digital products. We also added some new ones like coaching and mentoring. So this is the ability to track and reward for things that actually happen offline. So whether that's like, a quarterly review with a manager, or having your manager sit in on a call that you're doing with a customer and actually, giving feedback and writing a report, and that all fits into your learning path. So that's a little bit about Lemonade and its recipe and why it works. Now, kind of standing you up in the process we go through, I've kind of shortened it, and Jen's certainly going to talk about it in more detail, but it starts with your corporate objectives. Like, what are your goals for 2021? What are you trying to do? And then from there, we're going to distill it down a level to the training objectives. Then this is a section that's unique to every single financial institution. We're going to sit down with you, understand what makes you different, your opportunities, your constraints, the timelines we have to work with, the communication channels we can use, what's worked well, what hasn't, and then apply our templates to that bit of information. From a content roadmap standpoint, we then sit down and there's 3 steps. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look through our course library. We've got a slew of bank-specific courses that we're going to be able to pull from, and that includes templates for digital as well as full-blown curriculums that we could stand you up in a matter of a day. So we pull from there. Then we look at the content that you guys have built. There's nothing more frustrating for a content team to have built content last year. All of a sudden you bring in Lemonade and that content goes in the garbage. That's not probably what they want to see. So we can take those good pieces of content and pull them into Lemonade, into the different learning paths for the different groups. The last piece is we're going to see what holes are there and author some quick content, because everything is, as Jen said, can be authored within Lemonade. From there, we've got to create a comms plan, a marketing plan, a way to roll it out. And I can't speak enough to the way Jen and her team did hers. Like, the numbers are off the charts. And then, of course, we're going to measure and optimize. So before I pass it back to you, Jen, I know in the past you never take enough credit for this. I'm actually watching you this time because Jennifer and the people at PlainsCapital did an incredible job. They actually chose an onboarding plan that no one else has ever chosen. So I'll be interested to see how she describes it, but I will pass it back to you.
All right. Thank you, AJ. So Lemonade was up in no time. This was probably the quickest onboarding of a system I've seen in my experience at a bank. Within 3 months' time, we had signed the contract. We had created 12 weeks worth of games and courses in Lemonade, and we had rolled it out to our front line. Our Lemonade team provided us a roadmap for us to follow. It gave us some best practices for onboarding, also best practices how to design our games and courses, especially the first few courses where our learners would play so that they could experience a variety of the games offered. Like AJ was saying, there's various paths to onboarding. If you have the resources to create your own games, you can. That's what we did. Or you can let Lemonade do all the heavy lifting for you. Just give them the content and they create everything. The Lemonade program also has a library of pre-built courses. The content, I've been in there myself. We're using some of the pre-built games. The content ranges from anywhere from, customer service skills to fraud to regulation knowledge. So like AJ said, we kind of took it and ran with it. We did the freelance approach. I can't stress enough how easy their system is to create a game. The screens walk you through the steps. And if you get stuck, there are several resources available to you to help get you unstuck and moving on your way. And our IT team also worked with the Lemonade's IT team to incorporate Lemonade into our single sign-on capabilities. So now as new hires are brought on, it's just a part of the new hire setup to give access to Lemonade so our new hires can get in there and start training immediately. Another thing that was really important during onboarding for us, within Lemonade, after you have all your users on there, you can create groups and assign the users to various groups so that each employee has a customized learning experience. It's very slick.
Jen, before I let you go on to the next slide, I would say that I would give you a B- today on your explanation of your onboarding. Because we have all these different paths and one is custom. Jen's actual words were, no, we don't need the weekly onboarding meetings. Just give it to us, let us play with it, and we'll call you when we have a problem. And so you're still the only one to have ever done that. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Okay, good. Thank you. Back to authoring games. Again, I just really can't stress how easy it is. Our Lemonade games, they work for any type of training our bank needs. We've used it for relationship management training, policies and procedures recap, banking system demos, and of course, product training. And again, there are several paths to authoring games. You can create the games yourself like we did, or again, give your Lemonade team the content and they'll create those games and courses for you. Extremely user-friendly. All right, so finally our rollout, before we rolled out the program to the learners, again, the Lemonade team, they were great. They gave us a template to follow specifically for rollout and guides to help market it. So we marketed it by using contests, some internal commercials, and some promo announcements. Our regional managers gave clues about a new training program coming out, and then, we sent some emails to pique everyone's interest. Rollout was smooth. We had a really good response, and I think a big part of that was the how to play game. So this is a game built by Lemonade, and it walks the learners through the program and explains how to play all the games. And within the program, we built rules so that the first time the learners got into the program, they had to complete the how to play game before any other games were visible to them. So we rolled out Lemonade to all of our branch retail staff. So our tellers, teller supervisors, new account reps, and branch managers. We rolled this out, it's been almost a year. We rolled this out last April. And we started with the topics that were relevant during the lockdown. So, information about mobile and internet banking, so that we could increase the knowledge of our bankers, increase their confidence about our, electronic services so that they could have the meaningful conversations with our clients about, how these services could benefit them.
All right, that was this last final poll, poll 3. What is the biggest opportunity to differentiate your bank from the competition? FinTech, customer experience, knowledgeable frontline staff, products, and services. Now, this one, I actually don't have a clue where this one's going to go. So,
I know, they all 4.
Yeah, well, I'll bet you this is the closest race. Watch me be wrong. But actually, as I say that, it's it's backing off. There was a real front runner that came out. Customer experiences were huge, but now knowledgeable Frontline. It's tight neck and neck. Nobody's on products and services in fintech. Boy, they're not going to like what I have to say later then. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Well, it seems to be customer experiences. It came back up. So we're sitting at 68%. What would you have gone, Jen?
God, I mean, this one I would really have to divide evenly between all four. It takes everything.
Yeah, fair point.
Honestly, yep.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for your poll participation. That was fun. So on to results. Jen, I'll let you take this.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So I just wanted to share some of our key metrics with y'all. So on average, each learner has engaged with Lemonade a total of 27 hours in short bursts throughout the year. And again, that's without them having to leave the floor, disrupt service to our clients, not incurring any additional costs. So that was huge for us. Participation is 93%. Now, we took the route of we weren't going to make Lemonade mandatory. We wanted this to be a fun, new way to train. So we just said, hey, here's this new training program. Please use it. It'll be helpful. And 93% of our retail staff are actively playing games on Lemonade. And with the analytics I kind of talked about earlier, we're able to see that our frontline staff's knowledge has increased 31%. That is huge. And I've been able to report that up, to our executive management. And it is so fun to see their eyes light up, to see how much that, we're growing as an organization. And a win just for the training department. Again, if I have any fellow trainers on the call, we have saved so much time on creating content because of the rapid authoring tools that Lemonade offers. And because of the analytics, we know exactly where our knowledge gaps are. We can look over all the games, see the games that have scored the lowest, and we know that we need to create training for that topic because it's needed and it'll make the most impact on the front line.
Awesome. And Jennifer, to you and your entire marketing team, your voluntary participation rate is at the upper limits of all of our clients. I think we average 84, and your team's at voluntary participation at 93. So congratulations to you and all your team, because obviously you're doing a lot of things right to get people psyched about it.
Thank you. So some key outcomes and some of our takeaways. The staff response was huge. This was unlike any other training we had ever rolled out. So they were very excited to be able to train at their location and for training to be fun. We still receive emails from the staff on how they enjoy learning this way. They'll email us about a client interaction and say they knew how to handle it because they had just played a game that week in Lemonade over that topic. We've also received emails from our managers letting us know, it's been fun to watch the little competitions between their employees. Since Lemonade's game-based, you earn points and level up. And so the competitive spirit has come out in some of our employees, and there's little competitions among coworkers to see who has the higher score. Knowing where to put our focus, again, as a training team is huge. We can prioritize our topics now, and we know which content is more important to create and get out to the learners quickly. And with Lemonade, we've been able to successfully administer our ongoing and repeated training to our frontline. And truly, they're now more comfortable, talking about products and services and our relationship management standards. And this is really put us on the track for our frontline staff to turn into those advisors. Right. Last summer, we did roll out a Lemonade lottery. So we had a featured game each week, and if the learners played the game, they got to, put their name in the hat, and at the end of each week, we would draw 3 names and then give prizes. And we've been asked by so many employees when we're going to do that again. That was a lot of fun. Our regional management is getting involved. We've assigned them as a leader status within Lemonade so they can get in. They can see kind of what their employees are doing, where their employees are, and they can even track a little bit of the analytics. And now we have other departments starting to call, wanting us to create games over how their department partners with the Frontline. So word is getting out about Lemonade in our organization. It's exciting. Right. So our 2021 plans, from a training standpoint, we're going to continue to build content, especially in relationship management and products and services. We'll be leveraging the client role-playing games a lot more than we have to enhance those conversation skills. And we'll also introduce the coaching session game that AJ mentioned. We haven't done that one yet, and I can't wait to do that one. We're in the process of setting up our call center team to be learners. So they're going to get on, they're going to play games, create their content as well. So it's neat that other departments are noticing how our Frontline's knowledge has grown and they want to be a part of it. We're also presently building out our Digital Academy, which is another product of Lemonade. So Digital Academy is a program of demos or simulators that not only our internal employees can play and learn how, maybe various features of mobile banking works, but the demos and simulators within Digital Academy can also be sent out to our clients. So if we have a client that comes in or calls in and says, I'm trying to do this mobile deposit, but I just, I'm lost. Our Frontline staff can, send them a link or direct them to our website and say, here, watch this demo. And it's our clients actually clicking on buttons so they truly learn, how to do that mobile deposit or how to do that transfer on internet banking. Right. And then finally, we're also setting up a way to tie our training programs on Lemonade into real world results. Something that I know the senior leadership is going to be quite excited about. But AJ, I'll let you talk more about that.
Thanks, Jennifer. So first, what I want to do, because it's me, I do demo presentations to clients and prospects all the time, and I'll showcase LemonadeLXP, for the employee side, and I'll do Digital Academy for the customer side. Even when I do them live, people have a hard time distinguishing the difference between the two. So I just thought I would cover this off quickly. Digital Academy is customer facing. It shares a back end. So if you build a demo for the Digital Academy, it can be used in a learning path in Lemonade and vice versa. Its main purpose is probably to attract new customers. And what I mean by that, I'm sure a lot of you know, and this is where my data were different than your polls. What I have read is the number one thing people are choosing financial institutions right now for is your fintech, your digital products. So to be able to showcase that all your fintech is fantastic, and then to showing them that you've got the self-help. I'm sure in the last year, we've all been stuck in a long phone queue as we've been told to stay in our homes a little bit more than not. So anytime that I can help myself instead of having to, visit or call is probably a good thing. Then, the concept of deepening clients' relationships with your digital product, obviously important. And it's kind of like that Netflix approach, like, hey, after you saw this documentary, you can see this one. And let's face it, we've all probably been pulled in. So same thing, after you did bill pay, hey, here's mobile deposit, and we're going to keep putting these in front of you. And as Jennifer said, you get to click on them. So you're not just sitting back in passive learning, it's active learning. It's seeing how easy it is to do that particular step. Then supporting your front line. Yes, it's going to cut down on the number of calls going to your call center, visits to your retail. It's certainly going to cut down on the call handling times because, your call center retail team has this tool to use, but it also allows your team to deliver white glove service. So after you've done a phone call with the call center, they can say, hey, here's a link to, bill pay, and you can send a specific link to that client. Or of course, the marketing team gets a hold of this, and now this is engaging interactive content for them to put up on social or send out through email. So it's really the Digital Academy that Jennifer talked about is really a little bit more focused on the customer, where everything in LemonadeLXP is focused on the employee. Now, this is probably the most exciting thing that's come out for Lemonade in a long, long time. And it's a little bit learning geek, yes, with the Kirkpatrick pyramid, but it's actually focused, as Jennifer said, on what, our upper management wants to hear. So any training program, we're able to understand what are we trying to achieve? How are we measuring success? That's pretty simple. Reaction, how do participants respond to the training? Well, between the stats in our analytics, but also surveys being used on the front and the back end of training programs, you're going to get a really good understanding of what your employees think about Lemonade, the type of training, and how it's all working. Then learning, how much did participants learn from the training and have their skills improved? Well, our stats are great for that. Jennifer talked about, for example, increased knowledge from baseline to where they are now of 31%. Well, those sort of numbers. We have another one that tracks how many courses were completed at a rate of 100%. We're going to support you there, no problem. But the stuff that everybody wants to hear is really step 4. So have participants applied what they've learned from the training, which is not only retention, but usage. So one of our clients who actually started with us in around digital products came to us and said, listen, we love what you did for digital, but we have 2 CRMs. So for all those, I swore I wouldn't use acronyms, customer relationship management software. And this is what keeps all of your information on your customers, and your frontline will use this tool a lot. And they have 2. And unfortunately, they're not being used that well. And they actually started with level 5. What benefits the organization? And there's 2 buttons in their CRMs. One's referral and one's opportunity. And when clicked, drives significant ROI for that particular financial institution. The problem is people aren't using it. So together, we are building out 2 courses, one for each CRM. And in it, there's going to be foundational learning, that who, where, what, and why. Then we're going to have demos to show you, how to upload a client or make a task to call them back, or of course to click opportunity or referral. Then the last piece is a scenario or role play where you're going to be engaged in a conversation. And at the end of it, with a virtual client, of course, you're going to, at the end of it, say, is it a referral? Is it an opportunity? Should it be recorded in our database, or is it nothing? And through all of those steps, as they get progressively more detailed and harder, the user is going to earn, I'll just say, points. But it doesn't need to be points. It could be chances to win, similar to what Jennifer did. Or it could be points that if you get to 1,000, you get a $20 Amazon gift card. So that's all well and cool. But the fun part is number 4. We now, on a nightly basis, are going to receive encrypted data from our client that actually shows real world behavior within both of their CRMs. So I'm going to know on a per rep basis that each rep, did this in the learning, here are the markers they got, and actually clicked on referral and opportunity in the software. So as you think about your own financial institution, just go, if there's anything that you can track on your end, we have the ability to import it and work it into Lemonade. So now when you're giving those reports to upper management, you can actually tie to real world results. So that's a little bit about probably our newest thing. To everybody on the call, I can't thank you enough for spending the time today. It was funny in the presentation. I know, Jennifer, you said something about webinars and eyes glossing over and them being too long, and I panicked. I was like, oh yeah, I've never really heard that before. I hope this doesn't happen, but I can't see your eyes. So if you have nodded off, you're safe. But to you, Jennifer, I can't thank you enough for your time today. It's really appreciated. To the entire team at Bank Director, you were fantastic. And I know I'm going to pass it back to Emily, and I think she's going to take us with some questions. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. AJ and Jennifer, great presentation. And we've had several questions come in. And just a reminder to our audience out there, keep submitting those questions. We'll just try to address as many as we can before we kind of hit that magic 3 o'clock hour. 2 o'clock. I'm in Central Time Zone. I'm getting confused. Anyway, we'll move forward. We'll close at the end of the hour. But the first one I wanted to ask is probably a good technical question for you, AJ. We've had a couple of questions come in wondering about integration and interfacing with other learning management systems. One attendee mentioned Workday specifically, but does Lemonade work with other learning management systems, integrate or interface in any way?
Fantastic question. And I should have, in my corporate bio, told you about my limited knowledge in the technical realm. Now, I've been doing this for 25 years, so I kind of have an answer to the question. But if anybody gets down into the specifics, you're going to see me break down and start to weep. To answer your question, it's client specific, and the word integration is a dangerous word. Every time I say it to our tech team, they just go, could you please tell me, AJ, what integration means to you or that particular client? So yes, we have clients that will use their LMS as the default system and pull in some of our stuff into their flow. And then we have others who go the opposite direction. There's actually one of our game-based learning modules allows us to go out into an LMS who uses SCORM usually as a technology and bring in SCORM courses into our learning paths. So integration is totally possible, but unfortunately, one, I'm not the one best equipped to answer it. And two, I'd probably want to dig into what integration means to that person. But yes, we have clients that go in both directions from an integration standpoint. So I hope that helps answer that question as best as I could.
Okay, sounds good on my end. I've also got a couple of questions, sound more geared toward Jennifer. Jennifer, the first one, they're wanting to know if you've seen a marked increase in sales of products and services after the completion of Lemonade training, if you've seen an impact on that area.
We have actually, and we have also partnered with an outside vendor to, poll our clients as well. And we've seen an increase in client satisfaction, an increase in the satisfaction with our staff's knowledge, conversation topics. And then like every bank, there's various goals to hit or metrics, and our regional management has seen an increase in that as well.
All right.
I can also jump into that question where it may not apply to Jennifer. We actually had one of our clients have said that they had a 91% increase in product recommendations. And where that came from is they were using JD Power surveys after the fact. That same client also had a 35% increase from the actual staff members in confidence talking to customers about digital products. And they got that number from having a survey on the front end before they went into the digital curriculum, and then a survey on the back end. So I don't know if that helps add a little bit more, fodder to that answer.
Yeah, that's good information. There's another related question, specific, they address you, Jennifer, but AJ, you may be able to clarify as well, about how business bankers use the system. Are business bankers using the system? Because you've mentioned retail staff, Jennifer.
Yes, we have not brought on our business bankers as of just yet, but that is in the works.
AJ, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, it's funny. So I've had one client start business, but most start retail and customer. But both on the Digital Academy side, we've seen people now starting to put demos and sections together within Digital Academy for business and a bunch of training. It usually starts in one place with a pilot. Digital is probably the number one. And then as people see the engagement and the results, it starts to go out. So our longer standing clients are using more and more. So yes, people are definitely using it for business bankers as well.
Great. Another question that I think is really relevant, given what you shared, Jennifer, that participation on your staff was not mandatory, but you demonstrated some strong participation. I believe it was 93%. Wondered if you could address how you're driving engagement, considering that it's voluntary for your staff, how you're getting them engaged and excited about using Lemonade.
Yeah. So I know right when we rolled it out, I know engagement and participation was so high just because it was unlike anything we had ever done before. And it was something fun. It was a game. Then after a few months, that's when we rolled out the Lemonade Lottery. Again, something fun, something excited, they could win prizes. And it just so happens that we are in the middle of a conversion for a new account system. And so as everyone knows, learning a new system is difficult. So we've also made a ton of Lemonade training around the new account system. And that's where we're driving people, after they attend a webinar with us to learn the ins and outs. Most of the follow-up training is done through Lemonade. Lemonade's doing really the heavy lifting for us, and they're going through and they're doing a lot of the demos to learn this new account system. So of course, it's your rollout, if you can do any types of games or products, but also we're trying to just stick to the most relative information that's needed. We're not trying to use Lemonade as just something on the side where we're creating games over topics that no one cares about. We're really just putting the most relative information out there.
Excellent. AJ, anything to add?
No, I think, one of the things that works is also showing a lot of financial institutions. I hear, when you get down into the second and third level of goals, we want to feel like we're developing our employees and have a learning path. And Lemonade's ability to set that up and also focus on the user needs to complete level 1 content before level 2 content is opened, and it can sort of pull the user along and they feel like they're improving as an individual is another great way to pull people, through and keep their engagement high. Our customer success team has a ton of documentation on best practices. Like there's a lot of neat things different clients have done to keep engagement up. Like, I heard one the other day and I was like, I don't even know what I think of that. But they basically took questions and they said, what's the longest streak of correct answers you can get? And again, it was a fun little contest or competition. And when they showed me the engagement number and how people took the training and then sort of had to go to this proving ground, yeah, so there's a lot of different things. And we're, as I said, the customer success team's happy to share those with our clients.
Excellent. Another question just rolled in, geared toward AJ, I believe. Curious about how Lemonade handles data security and data privacy.
Oh, they heard that I was weak in the technical aspects and they just wanted to take me to task. I see. So that's probably somebody who knows me who just wants to see me crumble. Here's what I can tell you. This thing is built for financial institutions. We have over 25, from the very big to the very small. The number of documents that the very big require and the data security that we need to go through to be onboarded can take up to 6 months. We have all the documentation ready and prepared. We have never had a concern. It's also WCAG AA or ADA compliant. So for the larger organizations who needed to work with screen readers and things like that, it also covers it there. So all I know, because I absolutely do not get involved in this, is that process, depending on what your particular financial institution requires, goes swimmingly. And we have been vetted 8 ways to Sunday and have never had a problem. So that's the best I can do. If that particular person would like more detail, happy to put you through to the smart people that could really do a great job answering that question. So I apologize my lack of knowledge in that space.
Well, in line with that, I would assume they could reach out to you through the email that you shared in your slides. You can access those through the recording, folks. Because another attendee just asked if you could point to a video demonstration. Would that be found on LemonadeLXP.com, AJ?
So when you say a video demonstration, I know it's pretty hard because we're having a one-way conversation. If that's referring to a demo, I don't even know if we have any demos on lemonade.com. I have a site that I show, Digital Academy demos. I know they're part of, like, when I do a demo of Lemonade, that's part of it. So, videos can be imported into the learning paths of Lemonade. They can actually, if you build videos, can be imported into Digital Academy. So our clients will use the word video is what's tripping me up. So we can support videos on either side, but in Lemonade, there is not a module that enables you to create videos. We can take anything that you've built in existence and bring it into either stream, but it doesn't have a video editor built into Lemonade. So again, the word video tripped me up a bit there. Hopefully that answers that question.
I think, AJ, they're talking about a video demo of an online demo or what have you of Lemonade. I think they're talking about.
Yeah, so we've been to Finovate several times, both in Europe as well as in the US, and there's a bunch of like 8-10 minute demos on our website, our YouTube channel, that will give you a quick demo. Not nearly as good and detailed as mine, for the record, as I toot my own horn, but you'll get an overview of how it works and what it looks like, and tying a lot of the words together that we use today.
Okay.
So yes.
And it sounds like if anyone has any inquiries of that sort, reaching out to you would probably be the best way. So AJ's email, again, is within our materials, but you can also reach out to the bank director team and we'll put you in touch there. Another question we've had come in is for Jennifer. They're curious if you still offer in-person training for new employees or whether you strictly moved to Lemonade for new employees. They, as a specific example, they said, do you train tellers on systems and transactions using Lemonade? So how are you blending, or are you blending in-person training with Lemonade?
Yes, we are currently blending. We do still offer in-person new hire training. It is a shorter amount of time, though, now that we have introduced Lemonade. And so we get them in, we get them immersed, and then as they go out to their branch, they sit with a mentor for a little bit, but they have all of the Lemonade videos accessible to them. And we have kind of a table of contents of going through these videos. And then what we've done is we're bringing people back we're still doing our in-person refreshers. And since COVID hit, I say in-person, they are webinars. I hopefully will get back to in-person soon to do some of the refresher training as well. But it works very well in a blended learning environment.
Perfect. Another question is regarding resources, and I know AJ, you mentioned you've got banks that are kind of down the range in terms of size, large and small. But curious how many people or hours you need to dedicate to get Lemonade up and running.
Well, we could both handle that. Jen, do you want to say how it went for your end, and I
Sure.
can answer whatever you don't cover on more of a general statement?
Yes. So we were self-taught. We had our Lemonade rep, ready on standby in case we got stuck, but we could make, and I say we, a single trainer could make a game a day. Again, this is micro learning, so you're not going to have a game with 50 questions because that would take more than 5 minutes. So you're going to have a game with 8 to 10 questions in it. And the way Lemonade works is you make a couple of games related around the same topic, and then you lump those games into a course. And so we could have a course ready anywhere from 2 to 3 days. And what we've done, the approach we decided to take, we try to roll out a course each week. And so that's why we wanted 12 weeks of courses built before we rolled it out. And that would let us have 3 months to make another set of, courses for the next 12 weeks after that. Because of course, things come up in your daily job, and, duties and responsibilities just appear that you weren't looking for. So we gave ourselves a little cushion.
Sort of to add to that is, Lemonade is a software, and its entire product roadmap is our banks saying, oh, I wish it could do this, I wish it could do that. And I remember when, PlainsCap was onboarded, we didn't have as many of the courses. It was just the ability to author your own content or bring in existing content like I described earlier. But then one of the requests was, hey, we would also like these courses. These were courses they couldn't get through their compliance vendor, or they didn't have the staff in-house shape, and, everything from cross, Jennifer covered a bunch of them, cross-selling and, DEI training. And of course, digital was a big one. So we now have full-blown curriculums and courses. So again, the answer on time is one based on what you're trying to train on is a big part of it. Because if you said, I want to train on digital, we have an entire curriculum. So a curriculum would be probably 8 courses that are all linked together that are built as templates where you can go in and the questions are sound, but you can go in, and if obviously your deposit limit is different than another bank's, you just go and you insert that value in. You can have that full curriculum customized to you in a matter of a day or 2. Because of the way we built it. Now, if you want to delete a question, add a question, change a wrong answer, you have complete freedom. There's nothing you can or can't do within our templates or our courses. So the one new addition is we've added a slew of courses to our library as well as full-blown curriculum. So now, depending on the subject that you want to train on, you can get it up and ready a lot quicker.
Perfect. Jennifer, you mentioned a number of the metrics that you're watching in analytics. Have you been able to use that to pivot your team's approach to training?
Definitely. We've even done pivots on even our new hire training. If we see that there's a certain topic that's low scoring across the board, we know straight out of the gate for new hire training, we need to hit harder on that topic. We know we need to cover it heavier in a refresher training. And it's even allowed us to have conversations with that branch manager of the employee, or even the regional manager, to, maybe there needs to be some coaching involved, or some extra training at the branch with a peer.
All right. Another question that rolled in a few minutes ago. They're curious how the system monitors learning. Their specific question is, does it have its own LMS?
Yeah. So, the word learning management system, in essence, it has, and if you've been, I can't say what LMS you know and have seen, so I don't want to paint them all with the same brush, but our analytics within Lemonade are incredible. I haven't shown the product where people who are used to working with an LMS go, oh, well, this isn't near as good as what we're using. I've never heard those words. So as far as the analytics that come with it, being able to have one-on-one performance review, as Jen said, understand groups. One of the best parts, as she said, is be able to spot knowledge gaps right down to a question level. Set up certifications is another big one, where you can group a series of steps or courses together and make them reoccur every 3 months, 6 months, a year. So again, kind of has that set it and forget it. The system emails all your staff. So from a back-end technology side, it's hard because we didn't look at the product today, but I have never had a meeting that the person went, those are inferior to what we're using right now. So I hope that answers your question in a very general way.
All right. Well, I think we've got time for one more question. And Jennifer, it's for you. Just curious, you talked about those strong engagement numbers earlier, but whether you did get any initial pushback from at least some employees, and how that was addressed, if so.
We honestly, we did not get any pushback at all. However, that might have been because of the situation. We had always planned to roll this out in April, but that also coincided with the lockdown of COVID and, no one leaving the house except if you were an essential employee. So, our employees, they were looking for ways to engage, and they wanted to have stronger knowledge, especially in our electronic banking services, so they could help all the customers that were calling in with questions.
Perfect. Well, that's going to wrap up our Q&A. I want to thank everyone. We had a really engaged group today. Your questions were fantastic. But let's wrap this up. So as a reminder, you'll receive the recorded version of this webinar within 24 hours. Again, we'll post that on bankdirector.com as well as LemonadeLXP.com. I want to thank Jennifer and AJ for a great presentation, and thanks to LemonadeLXP for co-hosting today's webinar. Thanks to all of you for joining us and for engaging with us. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.